Welcome in everyone to Barely Educated. We are here on a Saturday morning. I think it's Chris o'clock or something like that. Chris, I'm sorry to change it up on you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, no problem. It's a lovely Saturday fall morning here, enjoying coffee and donut. Would it surprise you to know that the flavor coffee I'm drinking is called Kodiak Attack? The Bears.
Not a bit.
Even my coffee is Bears, my friend.
Is it good?
It
That
is
can be.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, much like the Bears Commanders, we have had to flex the recording
Ha ha
into prime time. No, not to prime time.
ha.
Our soccer coach for our 8-year-old had a gaffe. Said the game was at 11. It was at 9. At
Oh,
9:08, a message went out explaining that he'd screwed that up, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh no.
then we should record in the morning." And because the afternoon was when we were going to try to squeeze an episode in. Either way, it was going to be tight for me today.
yeah,
So we are here. Chris is not going to do his normal producing, I think, so we can turn around and get this out before, tomorrow. Otherwise, it's
that's
like,
right.
here's our game preview. We'll see you in a couple hours for the game, you know. So, but it's a fun game. I feel bad that we don't have more time for it. This always works out. Longtime listeners know best for us if we can do it mid-morning, late morning, Wednesday or Friday
Yeah,
in a given week, and it just didn't work. I was on a field trip at a zoo yesterday with our 6-year-old. That was fun. And
yeah.
then yeah, so here we are now. I do want to start with a couple things over the bye week that, I've just been chewing over because of course Bears are coming off the bye. That's usually a problem.
Yes.
But it did give Stevenson and a few of the backups time to get off the IR. Brisker and Gordon are still out.
Yeah, that hurts.
And of course, we'll get into Jayden Daniels thing. But I want to go back to Jacksonville real quick. That game. Well, I don't want to go there. I want to talk about the game in London against Jacksonville. I think it requires, um, I don't know what the word is exactly. It's not really wisdom, but a certain open-mindedness to say what I'm going to say now.
Okay.
As everybody that listens knows, I was not a fan of the process of bringing in Flus in the first place, back when we had Fields, nor even more so was I a fan of the process of keeping Flus while you were drafting Caleb Williams, which was plain as day since like December at minimum. And I have my issues with Flus's ultra conservativeness in the red zone over the years, his in-game management, which has been improving, but there's still been bad moments. And really, I think since week 2, it's been pretty good. But week 2 was some
Yeah.
bad stuff. And over the first couple seasons, just a dreadful record. But I don't know how much to hold that against him based on the roster. Anyway, I also did not like the 200 club where he emphasized turnovers above all else. I believe points are the things that matter most from quarterbacks. Then first
Absolutely.
downs, then not turning it over. Not all turnovers are equal. I've been saying that for years too. Some are like punts, some are strip sacks that are terrible, some are scoop and score that's terrible. They're just not all the same. So all of those reasons conspire together to have me not particularly favorable of the head coach in many respects. That's tempered by how good he is at the defense. Great defensive play caller. That's clear at this point. How hard the players play for him. And one thing I also really love is he just throws the young guys out there. Love that. I absolutely love that. I don't know how many times it has driven me crazy over the years as a Bears fan when they wouldn't trust the young guy. The best example probably we'll ever get is Matt Nagy not even giving Fields reps with the twos in
Yeah.
training camp, and then he has to play right away. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing. So there's things I do like. All that to say this, it's a different conversation for me. Self-proclaimed get an offensive head coach guy. If my head coach, after a turnover, allows the offense, whether it's because of Caleb or because of Waldron, I don't care. They went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Is that 3 or 4? Touchdown, field goal attempt. They threw the ball across that white line there at the back of the field. They didn't just stop and try to run only at that point. They were aggressive in the red zone. He did not turtle up or command a turtling up after the interception. That's the kind of stuff I need to see
Mm.
to be fully on board because there are other good things. If that's real, It's a different conversation. So I wanted to give him some laurels on that. Now, I don't know if it's
Okay.
real. Show me against good teams, show me on the road. Let Caleb make a play when you're up 3 at the end of a game, icing the clock. You know what I mean? Like there's still more to do, but I did want to note that's big for me if it lasts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Baby steps in the right direction. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yeah, and maybe the whole like, ooh, dreadful turnover, but we're not gonna worry about it is maybe even more than a baby step.
True. That just felt different. I know we talked about it in our last show a little bit, but after that interception, it was like, oh, bummer. Okay, we'll get it back and score later.
Yeah, and they
It's,
did. And
yeah,
so
they
like
did.
and the follow up then is why? Is it the GM's like, hey, trust the quarterback, open it up. Is Caleb like good enough that it does that they're like, oh, I do trust the quarterback? Is he showing enough that they're like willing to open it up? Is Caleb like, yeah, I'm not running that play because we see him changing stuff at the line a lot. Like I don't know what the reason is, but all of a sudden I'm like, okay. And then you got to temper it, right? We got to temper it with the quality of the opponents the last couple weeks. I'm not saying the Bears should feel bad for blowing them out. They did what they're supposed to do. But I am saying as we try to project whether something like this will stick, I see it on the road. I want to see it against better teams, so on. But I thought it was worth pointing out. And I'm just trying to be fair and open-minded and figure out ways that this thing can make sense to me. And if he's gonna let him be more, that's a big deal. And if they're gonna stay aggressive, that's an even bigger deal.
I think I tend to be on the side of they trust Caleb more than they trusted Fields. Um, but if it is
Don't
something,
we all?
well, yeah, yeah, we do. But if it is something like Caleb just deciding, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change it at the line. Then that's good too. I mean, I don't know if that's a little cause for concern with the coach, but if that's the case, then the coach trusts him to do that. So either way, that's kind of good, I guess.
Well, hopefully you don't hear this dog in the backyard somewhere.
Hopefully, you don't hear the doorbell ringing over here.
Yes, usually you're the dog noise.
I know. I
Anyway,
got the
I
window
think it's
closed.
probably that they're already trusting him, and Waldron calls what he wants to call, and Flus is like, he's good enough. I can let it happen, and that's probably where it's at. But Caleb makes adjustments. I don't know if I can't quite tell if he's able to make full on whole playbook audibles. I feel like it's more like here are your two options, pick one. You can do right or left on a run, making another option. Like when we got fire, man, and I'll edit out the fun part of that. We got fire, man. Caleb's like, I
Yeah,
know, because he'd already checked to the out to roam.
you left out an adjective.
Yeah, and I left out a word that can be many parts of speech. But Sheldon thought we were running, right? We, the Bears that I'm on,
Yes.
currently on the
I
practice squad.
Go ahead. I don't care. I know
Yeah,
some
I kid.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, people get worked up about it. But anyway, he thought it was going to be a run, and Caleb's like, I know, I already changed it. But the center doesn't know that Caleb's done the hand motion over to Rome. And one last thing from the cleanup before we get to the preview. I don't really have much that I think we need to do with the rest of the Jags game, but Nate Tice on Yahoo Sports in the 301 pod or whatever it's called has an absolutely lovely article that everyone should go read on Caleb. And Nate is just a great analyst. He's usually very optimistic. So that's, something to just kind of keep in mind. But like he's talking about all the grown-up NFL adult quarterback in the room kind of stuff that Caleb's already doing. And he's like, Bears fan, this is it. This is it. You've got the guy. Growing pains still to come, sure, but he's already doing all the things. It's gonna be great. He's great. He's already good. He's like at the end, he's like, he's already the best QB I've ever seen the Bears have. Not like projecting what he will be, but just what he even is right now is already better than any QB the Bears have had in Nate Tice's lifetime. He's got loads of clips in there. It's just really good read. Check it out on Yahoo Sports for sure.
That
Love
throw,
that guy.
the back shoulder throw to, who was it to? It was
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Thank you. Yeah,
Touchdown in the
for
middle
that
of the field.
touchdown.
That was a back shoulder. Yeah.
Yes. I've never seen a Bears quarterback do that with that anticipation and that accuracy to where the guy's going to be, to where his back shoulder is going to be.
And
I
how
had
about
to.
Keenan Allen knowing to do it too? Because like that's a tough
Yes,
play for. That's not any old receiver makes that play either. But yeah, that was special.
those are things we've just never seen or had the players on either end to be able to do before, the QB or the
Yeah,
receiver.
and we've obviously seen lots of here's a great throw once in a blue moon kind of things. But the fade is teaching tape too.
Hmm.
The other TD to Allen. So yeah, just bring it all down consistently and then clean up the deep ball and we're I mean lots of good things happening there. And then again, let's see it on the road against a
Hmm.
quality opponent, which brings us to 3:30, 3:25 Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Bears at the Commanders. Bears favored by 3 on the road.
Very interesting. Is
I don't
that,
remember the last time that's happened. It's been a hot minute.
yeah. Is Vegas telling us that Jayden Daniels is not playing with that spread?
Sure seems like it. I That's obviously the first thing to do with this previews, right? Is like, is Jayden Daniels even playing? That's one reason we didn't record Wednesday because I could have done that, but it's like we had no idea. We still have no idea, I suppose, but they're being very coy with it, right? It seems like this is classic injury gamesmanship in the NFL thing. Like, oh, he practiced. We really pushed him. You better prepare for both totally different quarterbacks. It's like I'd be pretty surprised if they risked it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
what his seventh game or eighth game.
And that was the concern about Daniels too, right? Durability.
Hmm.
Would he last? And it sure looked like it was a. I'm assuming it happened on that long run, but
I
it
think
didn't.
so.
It wasn't like a hard hit or anything or a hard tackle. Just at
No,
least from what I saw, just all of a sudden he
I mean,
was not playing.
he's been great. They've
Yeah.
done things he's good at doing, and they've coached it up really nicely, and he looks really good. That's good for the league and fun.
Hmm.
Sign me up for Caleb and Jayden as the next Manning and Brady. We talked about that, right? Like, I'm not here for the whole, oh, the Bears got it wrong. It's Trubisky and Mahomes again.
Oh
Get out of
gosh.
here. It's nothing close to that. So I'm not rooting against him at all, but let's not pretend that one of the big reasons that it was sort of a foregone conclusion that it was Caleb over Jayden Daniels was the stylistic play and the injury concerns with a tall but slight frame. It doesn't seem like it's super serious, but you're talking about a guy who's going to hopefully be their quarterback for 12, 15 years. Why would they
Hmm.
push it if he's not even done a single full practice the week of where
Yeah.
the media can even see it? They like did this whole thing where he was on doing stuff where the media wasn't, and it's just like, what? Just say he's out if he's out. I
Yeah.
mean, the Bears are not, they're not like, oh man, it's going to be so different if it's Mariota. They're prepping to stop the Commanders' offensive scheme.
Mm.
And their run game is what you should be worried about. And Terry McLaurin is what you should be worried about,
Hmm.
regardless of the quarterback. And obviously Daniels is a way better athlete, and it would be a fun matchup. But I don't really think it changes that much for the Bears for preparation.
Okay.
Do you? I mean,
No.
he's faster, be more disciplined is basically the difference.
Yeah. And Mariota, there's enough tape on him to know
Yeah.
what he's going to be
And
like.
Daniels'
So
deep ball is way better, obviously.
yes,
But
yes.
they're gonna both move around a lot. They're gonna run the same offense. It's one of those situations where the backup does play a lot like the starter. He's just not as good, of course.
No, he is not.
So,
Can I run something by you? Get your thought. Is it just my meatball getting activated here? But
probably. That's your answer.
probably, yeah, no, yeah. I don't even need to ask the question.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
after he went out, after Daniels went out Sunday, and then they kept just trouncing, went on to trounce the Panthers. The whole talk was, well, the Commanders they didn't skip a beat, beating Carolina, blah, blah, blah. But when the Bears beat Carolina, it was that's Carolina. They're no good. You can't really take much out of that. Is there a double standard there, or is it
Probably. It
just my
also could be.
meatballness?
I think there's a little bit of one because the Bears hadn't looked that good yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you can kind of justify skepticism when it's the Panthers because you hadn't scored 30 yet. But I mean, they played well against the Rams, but they didn't like set the world on fire. Whereas the Commanders have been the number one scoring offense in the league. But more than anything, that game, unfortunately for both sides, is that's just about how putrid the Panthers are.
Hmm.
Like you're going to beat them, but beating them with your backup 40-7 and beating them 36-10 when you pretty much didn't even try for the fourth quarter. That's because the Panthers are truly dreadful. Period. And
Okay.
good teams are going to beat the tar out of the Panthers. And both these teams are good teams. That's fun. Let's just be happy that we are in the position of being able to say with a straight face, the Bears are a good football team.
Wow. There are.
I
Would
don't know
you?
how good. The division will tell us that shortly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I said this a while back, I think. Maybe it was to cousin Nate.
Doesn't it?
But this year's almost like a bonus.
Hmm.
If they're ahead of schedule with the rookie QB and sneak into the wild card or they're in the hunt in December, that feels like a big win to me.
Hmm.
It's next year I want them to be really rolling, where I want the interior of the line fixed, I want the next edge rusher in the house, and I want the team to just be cooking. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this year's like just a bonus if they're good. And so far, 4-2. Who would be upset at 4-2 when the season started? You could
Not
get
me.
greedy and say they should have been 5-1 because it probably should have beat the Colts.
Well, they should have lost to the Titans.
Yeah, yeah,
I
fair
mean,
enough. I'll give you that. Yep, that's true.
just based
Yeah,
on how the game
absolutely.
went.
So four
Yeah.
and two is about right.
You are what your record says
We'll get
you
back to the
are.
Commanders game real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots. What's the record need to be coming out of that for you to feel good about their playoff chances?
Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots. You at least got to go 2-1
Right? And that puts
out of
you
that.
at, by my amazing math, 6-3.
6-3. Yeah,
Going
I
into
would
the
take that.
famed gauntlet. We've always do the schedule and we always say, yeah, who knows by the time you play them. Man, are the Niners ever the best example of that or what?
Yeah, for
Because now
real.
you're like, oh, we can beat the Niners. How many
Mm-hmm.
Niners are hurt that game? Well, now they're all going to be back. But I'm saying, like right now that half the team's injured, you can beat them.
Yeah, right.
Vikings just lost a stud left tackle for the season.
Yes, they
That
did.
went
That
from,
hurts.
oh, we're going to beat the Vikings to the season starts, they're kicking butt. Oh, we're not going to beat the Vikings to, oh, we can beat the Vikings. We can split with the Vikings, right?
Yeah, I think split is very realistic. It seems like perhaps Sam Darnold has, I don't want to say gotten, I wouldn't want to say regressed, but it seems like he's returning more to what we would have expected Sam Darnold to be. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although he did get, the Vikings got screwed out of that game with that face mask in the end zone.
Sort of. I'll push back. That was a dreadful call. There was also a hold in the end zone
Mm.
that they missed. But let's not pretend, this is actually to your point, in my opinion. Let's not pretend that it's some given that then with a minute and 20 or whatever, Sam Darnold is going to still march 83 yards and convert the 2-point conversion. I think we got robbed of seeing a fun drive at the end, maybe.
Mm.
I don't. I think it's a stretch to be like, oh, the Vikings got screwed. No, it still would have had to go 80 plus yards in a minute and hit the 2-point conversion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More so, it bothers me is I just can't stand how often I see the officials look totally incompetent and the rules make no sense. And above all, the review process not allow them to clean up all of it. Just it takes 10 seconds. Can do it during the replay.
Yeah.
Oh, league figured it out. It's actually a face mask. Done.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's they say they review scoring plays. Aren't safety scoring plays? Aren't
Yeah,
points?
that's a weird one too. They clearly don't mean safeties as the scoring play, which makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It was a bad look for the league for sure, but I think the game still is a Rams win.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make with the schedule is, yeah, the gauntlet's way harder than the start of the season, undeniably. You have factors though that are always in flux. Who's hurt? Who's not? Who's hot? Who just played the Lions? If you just play the Lions, you lose the next week, apparently. That's happened all weeks of the season now,
Wow.
which seems basically absurd. Um, and the Lions are amazing offensively. Their offense is top shelf. I mean, that
They
stat where they have more, what was it? Over 4 weeks, they have more touchdowns than incompletions. Over a
that's
4 week stretch, a 4 week stretch.
the Detroit Lions, folks. Not the
I mean,
Brady Patriots or the Manning
times are
Colts.
a changing. I was
Yeah.
talking to a parent yesterday at the zoo who's a Lions fan, grew up in Detroit, was talking about how the city's made a big recovery even, which is cool.
Oh, that's
And
awesome. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. And I was like, man, your Lions are they look like the NFC favorite to
Yes,
me.
they do.
He's like, yeah, for sure. Like the way, man, the offense is great. He's like, I think we got to trade for an edge somewhere to feel even better about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, possibly. That's a sad story. And then he was just like, man, he's like, I hope it's the Bears Lions for the next several years. I'm like, me too. I'm ready to have
Yes.
that be the rivalry, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
then we have to admit this. On that gauntlet, man, Green Bay's defense is looking good. Got the new
Yeah.
coordinator, and some of those guys are playing to their talent again. The safeties are elite. And yeah, Jordan Love looks like Brett Favre. He's not Aaron Rodgers. There's
He's
no way
not
he's
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
That's
But
right.
he just might be Brett Favre, which still sort of sucks for us.
Yeah,
But he's a
well,
good dude. At least he's not Brett Favre, the other
yeah.
Brett Favre.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
I still can't get over Jordan Love stopping to help a stranded motorist in a
yeah.
snowstorm.
He is a good. It's hard to
Like
dislike
that's
him.
can you imagine like if you were stranded and the Bears quarterback was the one who came to help you? Like, come on, this is crazy. So
If
yeah,
it
but
was the
can
Packers,
his turnover worthy throws just turn into turnovers more consistently?
it's
That's what
starting.
I want.
It's starting to happen. It's
It is.
starting to happen.
It's getting there. He threw another one right through a guy's hands though
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
other
It's
team.
he's got some weird voodoo going on. That's for
He
sure.
does.
Yeah.
Okay, we've hemmed and hawed enough. Back
Okay.
to the Commanders.
All right. Do
I
you
am
hear
going
those?
to
Do you hear those
give you the
flutes in the
matchup
background?
numbers. What's that?
My wife's teaching a flute lesson. Do you hear
I
those
do hear the
flutes?
flute in the background, but it's okay.
Sorry, sorry, dear listener.
It's the inspirational, relaxing, some kind of music
Yes,
behind us here for Bears Commanders.
I
All
should
right,
go
when the
ask. I
Bears
should go
have
ask
the
her to
ball,
stop.
when the Bears have the ball, it's the 24th offense versus the 16th defense in terms of overall yards.
Okay.
Bears are 18th passing, Washington 13th. Bears are 24th rushing, Washington defending the run 18th. So fairly even matchup. Again, this is on balance for the whole season, and it starts to get more and more accurate the more games you play
Yeah.
because some of the Bears numbers are definitely driven down by the dreadful start offensively.
Right. Yes.
And maybe that's balanced if they're slightly inflated by the Panthers game, but you could say that about the Commanders too. Okay, so then that's basically a pretty dead even matchup by the numbers.
Okay.
When the Bears have the ball, though, they do have a huge advantage, in my opinion, on talent at wide receiver over the Commanders' secondary, which we saw last year how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
Still pretty darn bad. That's the matchup they need to exploit. Okay.
Agreed.
When the Commanders have the ball, this is the fun matchup, right? This is your playoff teams. If they're playoff teams, it's because of these units. Bears defense, fifth overall in yards. Commanders offense, fourth overall.
Hmm.
Bears defense against the pass, eighth against the run, 11th. Commanders offense, only 16th passing for all the rookies of the week. They're really getting it done on the ground. That's where
Hmm.
this team excels. And of course, he
Interesting.
excels. Jayden Daniels excels running too.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
third in rushing. We saw how deadly a elite running quarterback could be for a team's overall rushing attack.
Yes, we did.
So there you go. In terms of points, just overall points per game, Washington leads the league at 31.1.
Oh.
Bears are up to 12th.
Hey, hey.
Look at that. Top half of the league in scoring points, guys.
Amazing.
Points allowed. Washington averages 21.7 allowed at 15th. So what they're doing so far this season is pairing a pretty elite offense, especially on the ground, with a middle of the pack defense, a thing that tends to be good enough to be a wild card team. And Super Bowl contenders pair elite one with top 10-ish other. Right? So they're close. They're way ahead of schedule too. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing, that's fun for their fans. They've suffered long enough too. Like I feel like we're in the same boat in so many ways.
In a while. Yep.
Bears points allowed 16.8, good for fourth in the league. And of
Not
course, they've got
bad.
the great streak on 21 and under or whatever, 12 games in a row.
Yeah.
So that matchup's fun. Their overs our D is a fun one. Made a little less fun if it's Marcus Mariota. With all those things laid out, it's time for my three-part breakdown before the pick, right?
Okay.
QB, coach, unit. QB advantage.
Bears.
Bears. If Daniels is playing, I'd be honest enough to try to call it a wash, even though I think Daniels has a much much higher upside still for NFL QB stuff.
Oh,
Daniels has been playing so good. I'm not going to just say it's the Bears when Daniels looks this good too.
yes.
But I am going on the assumption that I have no choice but to go on that he's not going to play.
Same. That's why I said Bears
So it's
so
advantage
confidently.
Bears.
Yep.
Coach. I'm going to say them. I think
Yeah.
they're doing a better job with what they have on offense, although Waldron's definitely gotten better and Dan Quinn has more experience, but
Mhm.
I think it's really close.
Yeah. Quinn
And
is a
then
good coach. That's been proven. I mean, he's got the unfortunate,
Super Bowl
Super Bowl
blunder.
thing around his neck, but otherwise, yeah, he's been proven to be a very good coach.
Players love him.
Yeah.
And whatever it's worth, for now, Cliff Kingsbury's still getting the job done. Though any
Let's wait
day
and see.
now, he's
Yep.
gonna do the thing
Every
where his teams
time.
get figured out, which has happened in college and the pros every
Every
time. And
stop.
maybe the Bears are
Yep.
starting it. I don't know.
Hmm.
But just trying to go by what they've done, very impressed at what they've done. Tip of the cap there. Best unit on the field
Bears defense.
with Mariota playing, Bears
Hmm.
defense. With Daniels playing, push. So I hope that shows everyone in the most simplistic way possible in a lot of ways. It's not some deep analysis that this game is super close. It's probably super close even with Mariota, but it would be really, really fascinating with Daniels. But I'm not going to feel bad if the Bears win and he was out. You play who you play when you play him. I'm going to take with my nose plugged because it scares me a lot with the road quality opponent stuff. That's the last box to check in some ways for this offense. But I am going to take the Bears. I think the receivers will
Bears.
have a big day. One of them will bust out for sure in my little prediction here. This is how I'm getting to a Bears win. Bears 27-20. They
Ooh, I
keep the
like it.
streak alive just barely.
Barely.
Thought about
I
maybe
see what you
making it
did
more
there.
field goals for the Commanders because I feel like they could move the ball a lot and then do the field goal thing that the Bears defense is so good at. But I'll
Hmm.
say 27-20 for fun.
Okay. I'm going to go Bears 23. I almost said the other name. Commanders 17.
We did it.
We did
We got
it.
through it. And we only had one almost.
Did you hear Caleb said
This
it?
is my meatball moment.
Yeah. All right. Did you hear Caleb say it in an interview this week?
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I missed that. That's
And he said,
funny.
"Oh, they've always been the in my since
Well,
I've been
because he grew up there.
right." Exactly. Exactly.
And again,
Yeah.
there's a lawsuit from the native groups for like, we want the name changed back. We thought it was an
Oh,
honor. It's
interesting.
just like that whole thing. I'm not even gonna go there though. But
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, so
um,
we're both saying the Bears are gonna win and that they're gonna cover the spread too.
yes,
That's your
because we've
conclusion.
won three in a row and now
Buddy
our
Bryant.
brains have shut off and we're back to being heart first Bears fans.
That's right.
And
That's
I
what I
don't
want
want to
to
hear
be
it,
anyway.
Fishbane. I don't care if Mariota's going for the Osweiler. That doesn't mean anything
Yeah, that was stupid. I
other than that
heard
we're a
that too.
tortured fan base. That's all that means.
Yep. Yep. It's like, come on, man.
Not these
Don't
coaches,
feed
none
that.
of these players, except for maybe Jalen Johnson, whenever they last played him. Right? I mean, really, who was even around for that game?
Yeah, he would have been
It would be the
around.
only one.
He has almost a complete turnover since 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jalen's the only holdover on the defense, and I think Komet's the only holdover on the offense.
Wow.
Herbert, maybe Khalil Herbert, but those two don't play on the field against Mariota. So the only one that matters is Jalen Johnson. And you
Right.
probably could argue that Jalen's grown so much as a player that he's pretty much different too.
He's the best corner in the league, my friend.
He's kicking butt. We don't talk about him enough.
Yeah.
Love him. All
Kudos.
right, that's all I got. Off to soccer, the one game
All
we
right.
still have.
Yeah. Well, have fun. Is it good soccer weather there? It's starting to get a little
Beautiful
chilly
soccer
here.
weather. That's
Nice.
yes.
Okay.
First couple of weeks were horribly hot still, and it's like the whole reason this is in the fall is to not sit here
Right.
cooking in 90-degree sun.
Yeah.
But we're good today.
Yeah. Cool. Well, enjoy. And everyone enjoy the game tomorrow. Thanks for listening to this episode of Barely Educated. We will check in with you at some point after the Bears Commanders game with some evaluation and thoughts, hopefully discussing a W. Find us on the socials at barely_educated. Our website is buymeacoffee.com/barelyeducated. Barely_educated, excuse me. And shoot us an email at barelyeducatedpod@gmail.com. We'd love to talk. Please give us a rating wherever you listen so more Bears fans can find our show. We will talk to you. My microphone just fell. Sorry. We will talk to you later. Bear down, friends.
The Bears. Go Bears! I love the Bears.